What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Ephraim Ebstein. You can check him out at fitsolutions.biz. And Ephraim, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. There's been some interesting ones over the years. This just came up on the last one I did, which is Chris Voss. Chris Voss wrote Never Split the Difference. He was a great guest. He's an ex-FBI hostage negotiator. It was a phenomenal episode. He's got a phenomenal book. I was telling him I think it should be made into a movie. I don't know if you've checked that one out, Ephraim.
I have. I love him. I love his book, and he has a course on Masterclass.
Yes.
So if you sign up for Masterclass,
totally
make sure to watch his course. It's awesome.
Totally. And on that, the author front, I had Michael Gerber of the E-Myth. That was a really good episode. David Allen of Getting Things Done. So if you want to be more productive, the book, the episode, Vern Harnish of Scaling Up was a good episode as well. So a lot of cool authors. Mike Michalowicz, he's got some of my favorite books. I don't know if you've had any listened to any of his, Ephraim, but Mike Michalowicz, he's just a funny guy. So listen to the audio is fun. He has Profit First and the Pumpkin Plan and a number of other books that he's written over the years. So those are all good ones. And check out more on InspiredInsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help businesses connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. And we do that in a few ways. One, we're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, the accountability, and the full execution and production. Number two, we're an easy button for a company's gifting. So we make gifting and staying top of mind to clients, partners, prospects, even staff members from a culture perspective. And we'll talk a little bit about that with Ephraim, about his hiring processes and culture. We make it simple, easy, affordable. You just send us the addresses. We do everything else. And so, Ephraim, we call ourselves kind of the magic elves that run in the background to make it stress-free for a company to help them build amazing relationships. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my relationships. And I found no better way over the past 15 years than to profile the companies I most admire and feature them and what they're working on the podcast and sending them sweet treats in the mail. So if you have questions, go to rise25.com or email support@rise25.com. I'm excited to introduce Ephraim Ebstein. He's the founder and CEO of Fit Solutions. Fit Solutions is a $30 million managed IT and cybersecurity provider. They're based in San Diego, but they have offices all over. And he's co-founder of AI Integrators. And that's an AI services company helping organizations harness artificial intelligence. And it's for growth, efficiency, and a number of other things. That's hot. People know that they should be using it. They're not sure how to use it. Right. He's got 15 years plus experience in IT strategy compliance. You're one of the only people, when I look back at what you studied in college, Ephraim, it's actually similar to what you do now, which is probably not the case like 90% of the time, including myself, actually. So they help, healthcare, finance, law firms, it goes on and on. So Ephraim, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to be on with you.
Let's just start off and tell people about, we'll start with Fit Solutions and what you do, and then we'll go to Fit-AI and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So the first time I launched a business was Fit Solutions 13 years ago, and I did what I knew how to do before, which is a managed IT service provider. And that has just blossomed with a lot of legs. So we never departed far away from that. But what we've kind of expanded into is creating a security operations center with our cybersecurity offering, pen testing. On the IT side, sorry, I skipped over that, but that's just everything from consulting strategy to just user support. So just kind of the basic, but done very well, obviously. And now Since AI has become such a demanded thing, and most AI deployments actually don't work properly and don't really replace the headcount like people were hoping. The ones that go well are the ones that have integrators that help them do that. And we had a lot of customers saying, "Hey, we're getting stuck. Help us out." We started doing a lot of AI integration for businesses, and we really built up a whole side of the business on that. But we got very niche on the AI side because obviously there's so much going on with AI. What we're really good at is setting up with creating basically an AI employee that communicates via text message. That can be for revenue generation, that can be for customer support, anything like that. A lot of people think, oh, chatbot. It is basically chatbot, but to get it integrated and working properly, where it can actually replicate a human and get so good that the person texting doesn't realize they're not talking to a human, that's a lot harder. And so, yeah, anybody could go buy a chatbot, try and plug it in and make it work. But if you want it communicating like a human, knowing information, doing actual tasks, it's more involved. And so that's where we come in because we can set up those chatbots to basically go to, pull from the different databases, communicate the way a human communicates. And really, the goal is to either generate revenue if it's on the revenue generation side, or if it's on the support side, it's actually replacing headcount. That is the ultimate goal, is that we are replacing humans. I hate to say it, but that's what's happening. And I guess we're a facilitator of that.
That's funny. There's certain things you do, and I've listened to some other interviews, and you correct me, like the way you make it feel more human-like. One
Yeah.
of those things I think is you don't do it like instantaneously. There's a slight delay, right? Because
Yeah.
like a human's not gonna like within a millisecond like respond, right? And
That's
so
right. That's
some
that's
some
one
of
of the biggest ones.
some of the
That's
things you do there. Talk about
okay.
those.
So the one you mentioned, delay, is absolutely important. So when you're texting back and forth, human doesn't. Sometimes you respond fast, sometimes you respond slower. Especially the longer the message, the slower the response. And it's varied. It's never exactly that. It's not like always on 30 seconds, right? It's always kind of varied. So that's one of the first things we do is vary the time of the responses. Also, another thing we do is when we train the AI, we actually give it a human name with a backstory and a personality. Most businesses, it's really the business's choice, but our recommendation in most scenarios is that it's a woman, a female, and that and the reason for that is people are just nicer to girls. And so you have a higher engagement rate, a faster response rate. And so that's why we do it. So we'll usually do a woman, give her a name, could be Alyssa, could be Jennifer, could be Sarah, could be Brooklyn, could be any name that you like. We will create a name and personality. And then another big thing we do is we will introduce emojis, variations, some text long, some text short, and grammatical and spelling errors. Another thing we can do is we can set it up with there's a provider called SendBlue. We can integrate SendBlue so the bubbles are blue instead of green. That's another it has more strict rules on what you're trying to do, so that sometimes you can't get around those rules because you're not just dealing with cell phone carrier rules, you're dealing with Apple rules, and they're very strict about that. And there's that, but we can do it, and we have done it.
I'm curious, just give people a sense, where is this living on someone's site or within their company that people are engaging with them?
Yeah. Okay, so there's a couple different use cases. Let me just tell you a story. we've been doing a lot of hotels lately, and boutique hotels particularly, where there's not a whole lot of staff. There's some staff, but not a lot of staff. But this is actually a great solution for any hotel. And so let's just say you book a room at a hotel. When it comes day to check in, of course, you probably get the emails and you can go to the front desk and all of that. But we set up the very first hotel we did, it was Hotel Zindel, and we set up the AI concierge. Her name is Brooklyn, and the AI employee Brooklyn would text and say, "Hi, Dr. Wise, this is Brooklyn from Hotel Zindel. Just wanted to reach out. Anything you need, I'm going to be your personal concierge. If you have any challenges checking into the room, let me know right away." And then, like a few seconds later, she'll send one other little message because humans do that sometimes. So that's two things I've done to trick the mind. One, a name. She knows who you are, and then like one message, 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, second follow-up message. Hey, if you also need recommendations for the area, I know some for you. Right? And you're like, oh, okay, thanks. On the hotels, we get about a 74% engagement rate. And now if you said, hey, I need towels to my room, or hey, can you give me recommendations for the area? Or for a lot of boutique hotels, they use door codes like Airbnb. Hey, I'm locked out of my room. I need it unlocked. What we found is more people prefer to text that than to call or go to the front desk, and which was kind of interesting. So say you're checked in and you need towels, more people would rather text that they need towels to Brooklyn than they would rather pick up the phone, call the front desk and say, hey, I need some towels.
Hands down. Totally.
Yeah. So what we've been able to do is reduce their staff because they don't need as many people. I mean, you can't reduce cleaning staff and stuff, but you can reduce like your VAs, your the remote support, even some of the on-prem staff that's kind of doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and even the staff who's on site, they can worry about other bigger issues or something like that.
Yeah.
And like it cuts out, I like anything that cuts out multiple steps in the process, right? Instead of like calling the front desk has to like let housekeeping know. It literally goes to someone who goes to that AI chat who automatically redirects it, and it like cuts out like multiple steps to this process.
Exactly. So Brooklyn will text the housekeeper, say, hey, room 103 needs towels. Or if it's a lockout, doesn't even need anybody, it can just handle and unlock the door and give a new code. So we've been able to do that. But imagine that setup is complex because you have the AI component, you have the workflows. There's usually around 400 workflows for that to make that happen. You need to connect with your door access code, needs to communicate to house cleaners, needs to communicate to VAs, needs to pull from their booking system who's coming in for the night, so it can text them on a schedule. There's just a lot of information, right? So to set that all up, to make that work, that's kind of what we do.
So I can see from that use case, I could also see any hotels. I could also see, Airbnb property managers or something, because you're getting texted. I've been in Airbnbs and I'm like, hey, where's this? Where's that? Where's the internet? If they just sent it to my text, like they have this booklet that's sitting like on the desk or whatever that I'm gonna have to page through. If they just sent me like a slew of texts, because the common questions are, what's the internet code or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I could see that. What are some other types of businesses that you have found are good for this?
So any business that has a big list of dead leads, that's a great use case because we can resurrect leads and re-engage them. If you have customers that need reorders, we can create AI employees around that. Those are both revenue generating. Also, if you're a type of business,
it's like e-commerce.
Potentially. I'll give you an example. We have a company that I don't know if you call it e-commerce, but it is. They sell stones like They sell the tools for cutting stones like semi-precious minerals like jade, crystals, geodes, things of that nature. So not only do they sell the stone, they also sell the machineries to cut it, polish it, and these are for hobbyists that
Oh,
like.
they're hobbyists. It's not like a manufacturing company that's doing like
No,
countertops
no,
or
no.
something.
They sell to hobbyists. Now, if you're selling a crystal for 15, $30 and you have somebody wanting to ask questions about it,
You've just lost all
they
of your
have
money in
about
that.
5,000 questions they get a month. They just literally don't answer them because I'm not going to hire and staff to answer questions about a $15 item. It is, and they get all kinds of questions like, "Hey, if I want it, does this stone fracture when I cut it?" Or, "Hey, what is what do you have in stock that's purple?" Or, "Hey, do you what wavelengths do crystals have?" Like all these kind of things you can't do. So we set up an AI employee where they can text those questions and it can answer all of those questions about everything that's in stock, plus just stones in general, everything that you could ever search on the internet, it can pull. It can also answer like, hey, what if someone says I need to cut, jade, what saw do I need, or I need to polish it? And say, hey, what size of cuts are you doing? Are you trying to make a necklace or a ring or like, a coffee table? And it'll give them the link to the product and the stones, and they can just order it. And so that's like a great way that they've been able to increase that. Another thing we have for webinars for people that like do a lot of webinars. Usually what they'll do, someone registers for a webinar, they will email, they'll probably have automated texting, but when you get those texts, you know right away this is an automated system, and then it reminds you and stuff like that. But we've set up one like Sophie uh, for a for an investment mastermind that someone runs, and they register to that webinar. Sophie will text and be like, "Hi, Dr. Weiss, I saw that you invested in this, masterclass. Just curious. Wanted to introduce myself. Just curious. Have you ever invested before? First time?" So she will, without selling you anything, she is engaging with you, figuring out, are you an accredited investor? Are you just starting out? Like, what is going on? And then she'll like the next day she'll text you, be like, "Hey, I just wanted to share this podcast. I thought you would really interesting. You might like it." Boom, sends it to you. "Hey, excited next day, excited to see you at the webinar tomorrow morning of. Hey, I hope I see you on the webinar." Boom, boom. So now you've created a relationship with Sophie. You think she's a real human the whole time. She goes there. We've done that for big events. We've done it for class action lawsuit companies where people sign up for class action lawsuits and they fill out the form, but they maybe didn't complete it, or the class action lawsuit requires that they speak to somebody and they never got them on the call. We created AI that will communicate them via text, and we've gotten like we did one for the Maui fires, and they just thought they were talking to human the entire time. And we were able in the first day of running that they average around 45K that they generate because they get paid by signups for class action lawsuits. So that just like pays for itself, 100x in that case. But it just depends. We can do anything that people communicate on text message with, we can get AI to do it.
I'm curious, how are people interacting with it? It seems like some of it may on the back end, like if someone signs up for something, it captures their phone number, and then you can communicate that way, right? If it's a hotel, if you book an appointment, book a room, or if you're signing up for, but to buy something. And it sounds like there's front-facing ones too. Someone goes to a website and they're interacting with people, or is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not technically supposed to I mean, you're not supposed to legally. Cell phone carriers can block you if you have more than a 1%, you know, report junk rate. So you can lose. It's kind of a difficult process to go through and get a cell phone number for texting. And so we do it all the time, but they're very strict and the rules are continually getting stricter. So it's called A2P registration. And if you have too many people saying, hey, don't contact me, you're going to get time out. You'll get that a couple times, but that's only a 1%. So you text 100 people, one person says, report this as junk. Um, that's gonna get you a timeout. And you do it enough, and you're just gonna outright lose your cell phone number. And the cell phone number is not like super easy. I mean, you can spin up a new LLC or something, but it's tied to your business to get the registration. They want to see your articles of incorporation. They want to see your website. They want to see your privacy policy on your website. Um, they want to see a lot of things. So it's kind of a big deal. And to so we can guide on that just because we've done so many of them on like, hey, this will work good and this will not.
Then, like, do some people, like in their hotel paperwork, have some kind of stipulation, like you give us access to communicate with you, or something like that? It's
Yeah,
something they,
absolutely. When you're
yeah,
booking the room, like you're gonna expect, that you can be communicated with via
yeah,
via cell. That's exactly it. So same thing with like a class action lawsuit. Now, if you have existing clients, that's where it starts to get a little bit, I would say, gray area. Because if they didn't
yeah. You have to like
expressly set
ask for
that
their
up,
approval somehow, I imagine.
yeah, but if they
Yeah.
know who you are, yes. So the correct answer is yes. That's what you need to do. But do we set it up successfully without it? The company has to take the risk. It's their HUP number. We will configure it and set it up. But we have a lot of customers that will, start cut. You might have had this list of customers way before the HUP requirements were in place, and you say, well, I'm not going to go to 10,000 people and ask the permission. I'm just going to, if I hired an employee, they could just go through the phone number and text them, and they know who we are when we text. Like, so we're gonna proceed.
Yep. I do want to talk about, we're talking about all this, which is scaling and growth, or which is kind of, what you've done for a number of years with the IT company, now with the AI company. I'm wondering, what are some thoughts when you think of the IT company that's helped you to grow, right? And maybe some of the snags you hit along the way, because I'm not sure, I'm sure it's not all up and to the right as far as growth goes in any company.
Yeah,
Um, well, some of the things you kind of got over some of those snags to get to the next level.
man, I think it's really important to be humble and adaptable, right? And when I say humble, people don't really use that word a lot, but it means being able to admit when you're wrong and learning from your mistakes. And it's the opposite of arrogance, right? And so you have to learn. And the more you can learn from others versus your own mistakes, the better. And I kind of learned that lesson several years in. I started realizing like as we were scaling, I was more and more out of my head, right? I had never been a leader of an organization of the size it was then or the size it is now. Every year, I've never been in that position, right? So it's always new, and I've worked really hard now at looking for mentors. Huge mentor of mine is Brandon Dawson. Brett Cardone is another mentor of mine. I would say Alex Ramosi. So I look at these mentors and I pay money to get myself educated by them. And I want the goal is to make my success easy. So I look at like how a business is run, how it's scaled, and I will then copy those aspects and adapt them if necessary. But the more I can adapt and do what someone that's had way more success than me has done, the easier I make it for myself. So that's really what I've been doing and recommending and so reading, learning, spending investing in yourself, whether that's a book, an education, a boot camp, an event, those are all things that I do regularly, and I find a lot of value in them, and they've helped me. They've helped me greatly.
Talk about maybe some of your favorite books.
Oh man, I love some of Jim Collins' books, Good to Great. I like John Maxwell's books, like 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I love Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule. Natalie Dawson has um, one of my favorite books, which is Teamwork. It's a very simple book, an easy book. But I kind of started with the Traction book, and we implemented a lot of that. I want to say around like '07, '08, '09, something like that. And then um, like the way that her book is, we've refined a lot of that, and just the way we recruit for people, the way that we
Yeah, I'm
manage
looking at that now.
people.
Teamwork, How to Build a High Performance Team, Natalie Dawson.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
it's awesome. I can't recommend it enough.
Talk about recruiting. I know you spend a lot of time in hiring and recruiting process. You enjoy
Yeah.
that. What are some of the things you've done that worked? Maybe some of the things that have not worked in the hiring and recruiting
So
process.
I'll talk about one of the things that I kind of think I should have maybe been a recruiter at some point in my life, because I got so hungry for the right talent as we scaled. I've started to become I am like, I can smell, I can smell good talent. If I hear a whisper of good talent, if you're like, oh, this guy, yeah, like I'll be on a sales call. I've done this multiple times. I'll be on a sales call and they're like, oh yeah, the other IT company, they're terrible, but there's this one guy, he's good. And then I just like, oh yeah, tell me about that. And my ears, I'm more focused on getting the name of that guy that they just mentioned was good and trying to get them to give me that name so I can hunt that guy down and try and recruit him than I am on the actual close of the sale sometimes. I want the sale, but if I can get the guy, I'm going to guarantee the sale. So, and I have now a good guy that can do so. I've gotten sales guys that way, crazy stuff. I'll go to my power base all the time and be like, hey, you know, Dr. Wise, you know anybody in accounting that if you know anybody or you ask anybody, and I will beat down that bush. I constantly ask and re-ask our employees, hey, anyone you ever worked with that was good, I want to know about them. So I will, if I even hear a whisper about someone that was good at something, I am, I'm like a blood trail hound on them. Now it's a little harder with scale. Like, how do you teach that to your recruiting team? But I do. We also kind of like created tiers of like referral types, like a type one, type two, type three, and type four. And type one is like, hey, this is someone the executive leadership personally worked with in the past and personally vouches for. It's an audit if they're at the top of the list on the higher list, right? Versus like a type four, which is just I met him at an event. I don't know them from Adam. Just give them the information to apply. So we have that, but I think some of the most impactful thing where we've been able to, um, if you look at one of our listings for employees that we're hiring, when we talk about the about fit solutions, a lot of people just give generic facts about their company. If you look how it's written, we've worked in all of our core values into the description. Now, the person reading it doesn't know that, but they've started. Yeah, you might maybe have to Google like fit solutions, see one of our job. Oh yeah, maybe I don't know if we have a job posting right on there. They're usually, oh yeah. Will it give you any?
It's
Mm.
probably very
Oh
specific.
yeah, there's some managed services. Just click on one of those. Okay, general purpose. This might be a little different. This is bamboo. Go up a little bit. and now I'm a little embarrassed, but it's usually if you look at maybe Glassdoor or something like that, I would
Yeah.
imagine you would see it.
Well, I'm kind of just looking at your careers page, you know what I mean? And like on the
Mhm.
careers page, I mean, I find a lot of companies don't have a careers page in the first place, but like in the careers page here, you do have kind
It
of,
might not be there because it's like directly from our website, but usually when it's posted on like an Indeed or Glassdoor, or Indeed primarily, it like has about fit and we work in their core values. So that's the first indication when they start reading that. It's kind of like they might not recognize that those are the core values as they're reading it, but it's starting to speak a language that people are either going to be attracted to or not. So there's our core values: elite raving fan culture, constructive communication, humble and adaptable, teach and promote, alignment, results driven, and integrity. So we work those in, and then the other thing that we do, this is a really big one. So because most companies, some are better at interviewing than others. And of course, we have like that intro call where you're just trying to see if this is like, should they go to an advanced interview usually? So you have kind of that cultural interview. If they're technical, or a project manager or something like that, you're having more an operational interview. And that's kind of what most companies do. And through those 1 to 2 interviews, they're determining if this person is a good fit and alignment for their culture. So what we learn is actually in that book, Teamwork, is that we do a third and last step, which is a core values presentation. Now, we don't do that with all the candidates. We only do it with the candidates that we actually want to hire. So if we were to, you were to go through the interview process, what this would sound like, and you would know it early on the initial that, hey, this is our interview process, so you know. And then at the end of the last interview, I'd be like, Jeremy, we're really excited about this opportunity, and we think this could be a great fit for both of us. What we would like to do is we would like to move you on to a core values presentation. I'm sure our HR team told you a little bit about that, but just to remind you, what it is it's a 5 to 10 minute presentation, and we'll give you whatever time you need to put that together. And what we would like in that is that you're presenting not the definitions of our core values, because we know what the definitions are. What we're really looking for is where you've personally used those core values in a past position to be successful, or how you would use those core values if you got hired to be successful at Fit Solutions. When can we get that started? And we'll email you a one pager with the core values and the definition, so you have it, make it easy. The presentation that you build is completely of your discretion, how complex or simple you want to make it. Some people just present, don't even make a slide deck. Others go very fancy, make like a Canva type deal or a PowerPoint. But the real thing about it is I do when they present that core values to us, what I do take a look at the presentation itself and say, hey, did they put effort or not? But what we find is this is a filter. So a lot of people, they'll opt out. They don't want to go further. We're good with that. So that's a great filter. The people that do it, some phone it in, kind of feel it's stupid, but they're doing it because they're going through the motions. You can kind of sense that through the process. Other people take it very seriously, and some people are like, man, these guys are so serious about their core values, and I align so good with these core values. I have to work at this company. And those are the ones that we want. And when they do the presentation, I'm looking at it through the lens of like, how would the customer view and react to this person? And then will they be successful with us? Because they could be a good person, but they are not going to be successful at our company with our culture. So I'll ask, let's say they tell a story about how they help teach to promote somebody. I will, after the presentation, be like, hey, Dr. Weiss, Dr. Weiss, you told me about that time you helped Sally get a promotion and you did this and this and this. Let me ask you a question. How much time did that take? And like, what were the exact things you did to help her with that? Like, what were her biggest weaknesses and what did you do? Right. And so what's funny is when you start to ask those questions, they are unprepared a little bit. Whereas an interview, they're very prepared and they can put on a good front. When you start digging into the things they've told you, the stories they've told you, you can start to determine, someone says, "Oh, I helped the company grow to $50 million. Man, that's so awesome. You helped them grow. Um, what did you do to contribute to the 50 million? And how big were they when oh, I was there for a year. They were 45 million. I helped them go to 50, right? And you're like, oh, I
They're
just did this little part.
49.9.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. It's like you start to dig in and you start to figure out, or they're like, oh, this is exactly what we did. We restructured our sales team. We did this, we did that. And like, it's you start to determine the real ones and you start to really attract and you start to filter out and you can anyway, I would say statistically when we look at our numbers, our mishire rate has dramatically dropped. So I would say it was probably like at best a 50-50 before we were doing core value presentations. Honestly, it was probably like a 70% mishire rate, and you probably had a 30% chance that you scored a winner within a year, if you look at a year's time. And with this, we've probably turned that on the head. We probably have about a 30% mishire rate and probably 70% success ratio on retention in the first year.
that's amazing. No, I mean, I really appreciate you sharing that process because listen, like if someone can help someone hire one more great team member, that can be game changing for a business and that process. And thanks for sharing teamwork. By the way, anyone who wants to buy an Audible, it's only $6.36. I
Yeah,
mean,
you can't go
it's a
wrong.
no-brainer. I just bought it as you were talking about Ephraim. So and they have another, Natalie has another book, it looks like as well.
Yeah, she's got
Called
another
Start the
one.
Work. I'm not sure that one, but the teamwork one, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So thanks for sharing that. That's great. And I mean, some of the founders I've talked to, they have high performing companies. It could be software or IT or agencies. Like I remember one founder was saying they felt like their full-time job was recruiting. As they were growing, their full-time job was hiring recruiting. The better they got at it, the more successful their company was. So it was just a skill
Yeah.
set that they learned, wow, I didn't start this company to be a recruiter, but to grow the company, they needed more great people.
You
So,
do. You
yeah.
do.
What about
Yeah.
on the leadership front, right? You said each year you're kind of as you're growing, you're out of your comfort zone. You're in uncharted territory for you. What are some things you've learned on the leadership front? Maybe some mistakes you made that you're like, okay, you live and you learn and you iterate, or maybe you learn from someone else's mistake and you didn't do it.
Yeah, so a big mistake I think I made, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs make this the same mistake, and it's I guess it's okay if you want to stay small, but if you want to scale, it just does not work. And one of the big reasons I started my company actually was I wanted to be working with people I really liked, and I wanted that group of people to be successful with me. So I wanted people to rise. Now, I still 100% feel that same way. But with that early mindset, as I brought team members in, we acted like a family, right? Like friends and family. And it's really, you put up with a lot of lack of accountability, inadequacy. There's a lot that just does, it was the wrong way. And I've changed my mindset. Now I run my company like a professional sports team. So the same way a professional sports team operates is the way I operate, and I use that analogy and that to help people understand the mindset and why I'm asking certain things. And the nice thing about a great sports team, it's fantastic to win together. And guess what? They do feel like family when you're winning, but you also, if you're not cutting it, you get traded, you get cut, you get benched. You don't have an option not to train with the staff or with the team members, right? So one big thing like I require is regular training. I pay for it. Let them do it on the clock, but in exchange, I require as a requirement of the job that you complete that training and the curriculum that I put together, which is going to be a mix of things, including things like sales, which an engineer might not understand or like because they're like, well, I'm in the technical field. I should just do technical training only. Why am I doing sales training? And if they're not expected to do a sales role. But I understand certain things, having been in that role as an engineer, on how those principles help you grow. And so I put that training together. I require also daily role play where we role play scenarios. It's uncomfortable. It's a lot of people don't like it. So those are two things. But guess what? That's how sports teams operate. You go to practice. No one goes into the pro games figuring out the plays, doing the catch the first time. They have drilled those plays together hundreds of times. And if you're on the team, you could be Tom Brady himself. If you don't show up to practice, how many times can you do that before you're not on the team? It's just the way it is.
I love that. What's an example of a daily role play that someone would do?
It depends on the job role, but I'll give you an example. Like we could use a salesperson for one example. Um, I'll role play different aspects of the fact-finding conversation, or I want to role play. I'll break it down into pieces. One slide. I want to have you present my pain point that I presented on the slide, and you can do that 100 different ways because different people have different pain points. And I want you to tie in my pain point on how you're going to solve it when you present this slide. So that's one example. On an engineer, if you're an engineer and you work for my company and you just got hired, I'm going to role play the new client introduction. You can be like, well, why would I need to be role playing how to introduce myself to a client? I'm an adult professional. I've been in the field. I know customer service. I can introduce myself. I'm an adult. You're not going to introduce, but see, that's the thing. We're going to do it the way that I know I'm going to solve for a problem in the business, which the problem they don't understand that I understand is that one of the biggest complaints in IT is turnover because there's an interruption in service for the customer. And the customer, as soon as they meet a new person, you know what they're thinking in their head? Great. Another new guy. And now I got to train him again. And it's going to be slow. And I would rather just work with Dave because Dave knows how to deal with it. And if Dave leaves, now I'm like questioning if I should even work with your company. See how that's how they think. And you being the new guy don't understand that in customer service. So what the average person would do on an introduction, they'd be like, hey, Dr. Weiss, my name's Ephraim. Really, really nice to meet you. Uh, tell me a little bit about your company, or what can I get started with? Or that's the average introduction. And you're thinking the whole time everything I said.
They don't know what
So
they're, yeah, I have to explain everything over to this new person.
yeah, exactly. He's like, great, I don't have time for this. So what we do, not only do they have to do research about the company before they do an introduction, but the way that our introduction goes is a framework where you express excitement, do the introduction, you say out loud the objection in their head. This is a sales technique. You say what they're thinking, how you're going to solve it, and then you ask what I call the magic question, which is, and I'll give you an example. So I say, hey, Dr. Weiss, my name is Ephraim. I've heard so much about the Inspired Insider and Rise 25, and I'm really excited to get an opportunity to work with you. And I'm glad to be here at Fit. It's really nice to meet you. And I say, Dr. Weiss, I know that a lot of times working with the new guy can be really tough. And I'm the new guy, and I don't want there to be a big interruption of service, and I don't want you to have to feel like you're training me. So, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be working with Dave to really go through your documentation. I'm really going to kind of fall on him with my questions as I get to know you guys. But let me ask you a question, Dr. Weiss. If there was one thing I could do to be really successful here, what would it be? Now
Yeah.
you're like, this guy understands me. One, he's excited to work here. He understands me because he understands that he's the new guy. I hate dealing with new guys. And there's interruption of service. He's got a plan on how to deal with it. And now he's asking me one thing he could do to be successful. I'm going to tell him, and I'm a little bit invested in him being successful. So that has been a game changer. But if I want that execution across the board with every new employee, I have to script it out. I got to actually help them role play it with me. I have to hear it from their ears and stop, redo, do it again. You missed a part, redo it again, do it again, just like you would in a football. Hey, I told you to run diagonally, not straight. Do it again. Do it again. Oh, you slipped the ball drop. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again until you sound as good as me.
I'm curious, logistically, is this a kind of a group meeting once a week? Like, what's the frequency, and is it in a
Yeah,
group
great
setting? How do you do
question.
it?
So what we do, they train they have to fit in their training. They have to do it every day. We monitor, there's KPI on it, we watch it. We do an all hands meeting every day. So we have a very specific framework. It's a 15-minute meeting, starts on the dot, ends on the dot. So the first 10 minutes, we go over mission, vision. Every department announces their KPIs, top performers wins, everything positive, no negativity on that particular meeting because every other meeting is allowed to have problems, not that one. So that is the cultural alignment meeting. And then the last 5 minutes, we go into breakout rooms because our staff's all remote. So everybody has to be on the meeting. And then you get broken up into breakout rooms, and that's where the role play happens. That's where we can help get more people role playing at a bigger rate. So if you're on a team of engineers and there's let's say 5, 6 guys, you're going to role play at least once a week, and you're going to hear everybody else role play at least every day.
I'm curious, what are some elements in the curriculum? Is this books? Is this online platforms? Do you have your own kind of documents? What is the curriculum? You said that,
Yeah,
kind of the
that's great.
curriculum.
So we have basically the curriculum we put together. It is dependent on the role, that how we roll it out, and it is dependent somewhat on the manager to assign what their weakness is. So if you're really great with people and customer service, um, once you get past the basics, I might, but you're weaker on, like, let's say firewalls, I'm going to put you on firewall curriculum or some advanced technology. If you're really good in technology, but you know what? You're not getting a lot of good reviews from customers. Customers are asking to work with someone else. You're going to be doing sales and customer service training. Or if I want you to be on a pre-sales meeting with you, you have to do sales training. So those are all things. If you're a leader, you have to do leadership training. And then in additional that, so we have these outside sources that we feel are good training content. So they're mostly videos. Um, you're doing that. So you have sales, customer service, negotiation. Even some of Chris Voss's content is in our curriculum. You're doing technical. You're doing training on our processes and content that we've created and recorded, and leadership. And I think I covered all of them. But that's about it. And so you will get assigned, when you start in the company, you have a curriculum that you go through the onboarding. And then once that is done through your onboarding, then you kind of move on to the regular training, the ongoing training. And that is 15 minutes a day or 1.25 hours a week. if you're in a technical course, sometimes it's better just to sit down for an hour and do your training than it is to do 15 minutes broken up. If you're doing sales training, I'd much rather do 15 minutes a day than sit there for, an hour and 15 minutes.
I love it. Ephraim, first of all, I have a couple last questions, but I want to just point people to fitsolutions.biz if you want to learn more. Also, fit-ai .ai
You
is
got it.
the AI integrators piece. We grow because of also, like you mentioned, with the hiring, recruiting, key team members, and I feel like there's an interesting journey with Natasha.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Oh man, Natasha. I love Natasha. She is a dear close friend of mine. We met in driver's ed when we were 15. So that's where we met. And through our teenage years, we were in the same circle of friends. We hung out all the time. As we became adults into our 20s, I would say we were always still friends, but we went different. I got married, she got married. You just kind of like, people space apart, but we were always friends. But I knew she was a professional. She was always very career driven, like her brother. Her brother's a good friend of mine too. And she worked at Nordstrom. She kind of worked up to like a regional manager and kind of went through that. And then the travel was really heavy with Nordstrom and being like that regional manager role. And when she had her little girl, she wanted to be home more with her husband and so I needed somebody good in account management. So I recruited her. I got her to come over, and she kind of has really risen through the ranks. And she's a good example of somebody that has adapted through a lot of change because most people couldn't adapt through the changes as we scaled. And she 100% did. And not only that, she championed the changes. And she's goal driven. She has goals. So that's a big reason when your goals are big, you don't care about how things get done or the little processes. They don't rock your world. You just like, hey, is this getting me closer to the goal or further away? Anyway, she's now our COO in our company, and she's also moved into a business partner of mine. So we decided we wanted to go after a government contracts, and conveniently, she's a minority and she's a woman. And so I was like, hey, why don't we partner and spin up another company? Because then we can get that the benefits of minority, all the set asides they have. So we spun up Federal Cyber Systems, and she's kind of transitioning into CEO of that company. And it's basically cybersecurity, IT, all the same things we do, but on a federal municipal level. And so we've been going after and getting clients on that front too. So she's definitely evolved, and she's remarkable.
Ephraim, I just want to thank, this has been really instructive, I think, for any business we cover a lot of ground here from sales to leadership to hiring, recruiting, AI. So thank you for sharing your expertise and knowledge. People can check out fitsolutions.biz and fit-ai.ai and to learn more. And Ephraim, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I feel like 100 grand.